I thought you had to go. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Hope everything's all right. Fuck.
Nah, we good, we good. Speaking of having to go, you guys got fucking DreamHack, dude.
Yeah, leaving tomorrow afternoon actually.
What are the plans? Easy wins? Is that what we're thinking? I mean, I talked to Garrett about it, and he was just like, yeah.
Uh, I mean, we're not. We're okay with losing, but we're just there for practice to really just get a feel of how you want to play on land, because playing online is different from playing on land. So that's like the main thing.
Yeah. Have
Just
you
testing things.
have you guys looked at like your bracket and stuff and groups and everything?
I looked at
Uh,
day one, day two. I didn't see day three too much.
who do you guys play?
We play the winner or first round. We play some no name team, never heard of them, and
Ouch.
round two we play EG or Splice, and then day two we play I think Mouse first round projected and TSM projected to qualify for
Okay.
day three.
I'm so glad they do like projected stuff too to give you guys a general idea. Okay, so you guys play
Yeah,
Smiths. Who the hell is?
yeah, it's on Smash. See if I
Yeah,
can
I'm looking
find
at it
it.
now. Dude, it doesn't even say who the players are for them. Jesus.
Well, you have to go to like the
Yeah,
original.
I'm looking at Liquipedia
That's
right
the thing I
now.
don't like about
Yeah.
Smash. Does
And then you guys,
Wikipedia have projected or no?
no. And then EG Splice, which you guys should smack. Hmm. I mean, honestly, is there anybody that you're really worried about until day two? Like,
Day two, maybe TSM or Space Station,
yeah,
depending on who we play. Because honestly, like it could go either way between TSM and Space Station. I think TSM has more highs than Space Station, in my opinion. It's as long as they can bring it together. I don't know if they're gonna be good or not. So
for sure. I mean, if and I'm curious if you like someone gave you the call to play for an RLCS team, would you drop cold turkey and be like, "Yep, time to play"? Like priority wise, what do you put first, coaching or playing? Because I know you.
priority, I mean, right now it's full time coach right now until the RLCS season, pretty much.
Yeah. So hypothetical RLCS ends at New Jersey. Energy wins. You guys are the world champions. Shit's amazing. And then people are like, "Damn, this Rob G guy's a really good coach, but I've seen him in six mans. Boy's been flexing. Let's give him a shot. You get called up to the big leagues again. Do you do it? Because I mean,
Yeah, I
you're
do.
talking the highest. Really, really, no matter
Yeah, I
what.
do. I want to play. The coaching is always there, so
That's. I mean, that's a
I
big
mean,
statement,
the
though,
goal
man.
right now is win world championship. That's like the main thing. I want the guys to win. I want to be there when they do win. So, but yeah, I do want to play. I still have it.
S- What is it about playing that takes precedent over everything else?
Oh, I just like it's competing, man. Can never give it up at
There's
this
a.
moment.
I mean, for like, I understand it because I've been in the space and I've been in the scene. Like, I know what it's like to be a competitor on those stages. I used to play competitively StarCraft a long time ago,
Hmm.
and then I've pretty much surrounded since the old days, like between Halo and everything else. Like when you get to talk to pros and stuff on a regular basis, you kind of understand the feeling you get, and it is kind of unmatched. Same thing as being a caster. Is like when you're in front of the crowd and they're roaring and all that kind of stuff, and you make that call. Like it's tough to put into words, but there's nothing that really lives up to that hype. So for those that may not understand, what is it about playing and being a competitive player that outweighs everything else in your opinion?
I just like the adrenaline rush you get out of it, like competing, win or lose. It's just I just want to like prove myself. Like I don't know. I just enjoy competing. It's just a lot more fun compared to coaching in my eyes.
No matter who your teammates are, does that make a factor? Because that's what I'm curious.
I
Because
mean,
like obviously you wanna play no matter what, but say Toxic Waste calls you up again, is like, yo, we've got an LCS spot, you know?
no, I'm done giving people chances again. That blew me away. So I mean, I haven't had the greatest record in teammates, but I don't know. If I had the opportunity to compete, I'd still do it.
Best teammate, worst teammate.
Best teammate. Ooh, that's a tough one.
Yeah. And why? Like obviously elaborate on
Ooh.
everything. If it's easier to say
Uh,
worst teammate, you can start there and move your way up too.
Worst teammate, classics, and Insel. Those guys are on the same tier. Best teammate. Although we didn't really like team that much, I don't know. I would say Gabe. Even though I still had my things about him, my gripes about him, just because he's always consistent, so it's easy to play with. Just other things outside the game I didn't like, but whatever.
As for Classics, and so was it just a personality thing? Is it a lack of effort thing? Is it like what is it about? Like what makes a bad teammate?
I mean, his work ethic was not good at all in my eyes from when I teamed with him. Every single time I would have to tell him, to play the game more, or whenever we practice, I want him to give his input and, try a lot more. Because I feel like whenever we'd scrim, it's just like we're just playing. It doesn't seem like we're actually like trying to improve or, talk about what we're doing wrong, how we can improve on it. It was more so like when we got fireworks, he would talk about it, but then things wouldn't change. So that it just lead to more arguments and stuff like that. And me wanting the guys to put in more effort because I really want to make a run, do really well.
I mean, what you guys did, obviously. Like, I mean,
yeah, but the thing is, leading up to that LAN, we didn't practice at all. We didn't practice for, I think it was Northern Arena quals. I guess people are taking vacations for whatever reason, even though we have like LANs coming up and tournaments coming up. And then the only practice we got was the 1 week boot camp at London, and we went super hard there. That's what I enjoyed the most. It's like we got so much better in that time span just by all trying and scrimming like 4 hours a day, 5 hours a day.
I mean, that's gotta be exciting too. I mean, not only this off, like this season and this year in general is totally different with the amount of dream hacks and all that kind of stuff. Like for you, even though you're not the one playing, like the fact that there's this involvement with a group of guys that is, truly dedicated and willing to listen. And I feel that's something that's giving you an advantage too. Like, I mean, Fireworks has always been someone who's been in the competitive scene. I mean, back when he played with Unrivaled and stuff like that, like he understands the needs and desires of what a player wants. But I think for you, it gives you probably the biggest advantage out of any other player. Other than, I mean, Jake, I think is up there as well. Just, I feel like you've had a lot more adversity in your playtime, just due to the rosters that you've been a part of, and kind of the way you've been treated. Like, I don't think you've gotten in your prime as a player the respect of what a lot of us consider. Like, I don't think you've gotten the respect in the sense of like, yo, Chrome's a pretty damn good player. Like, he did a lot for that team, but everybody's like, nah, he doesn't score the goals. Fuck this guy. It was.
I mean, I could agree with that, but I feel like season 4, that's a perfect example. I wasn't really scoring. I didn't know how to be a part of the team. I just felt like we just didn't mesh at all. And when we got the new roster change, that whole offseason, man, I was grinding so hard, and it showed, man. I was top 5 like goals, league play.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I was a part of offense a lot more. Whereas when I was on FlyQuest with Sad Junior, I was mostly on defense, and I didn't really know how to like be out, like position on the field at all.
Do you think like because of the stuff that you've gone through, whatever it gives you? I mean, obviously you. For those that, and you can speak more to it. I mean, obviously, as a coach, there's two things that really come into play. Number one, the players have to respect you as a coach, right? Like, if they don't care about your opinion, then this is a complete waste of time.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, obviously, do you feel part of it is in fact that you do have a very mature bunch that you're helping coach? Does that enable you to be successful in just general, the fact that you can present information and have them actually respect your opinion? Because I feel like no matter who, like, say I was to go, say for example, or Cloud9's like, you know what, we really like Lawler as an analyst, blah blah blah, we want him to coach our team. To me, I think no matter what I try to implement or try to do, those players aren't going to give a shit. Like, no matter what I do, even if I'm right, if I'm wrong, no matter what it is, I don't think coaching is going to matter because it's solely up to the players.
I think for like, especially like my group of guys, like when have you ever known Garrett or Fire or Justin to be really egotistical, very laid back and wanting to improve and learn together? And obviously we're friends for a very long time, so it works really well. Like we're just like brothers basically. It's just like I'm helping them out. I basically see everything, and they're focusing on just one thing at a time, and they're just able to respect me because it's been working. Because if you looked at regional season 6, like a lot of things they were doing, it's like it's hard to like work on it as a team and talk about it because it can lead to conflict and not trust at all. But if the 4-person there is reassuring them of like what's going right and what's going wrong, everyone could just focus on the game, not have to worry about whether your teammate's going to hit the ball or be there, or, yada yada. That second thought that's just going to leave you not trusting your teammate.
I mean, it puts things out of sight, out of mind, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, the reason why like my favorite event to work as talent is always is E League, because the way they treat their talent is everything for me for work purposes is out of sight, out of mind. When I get there, I have a guy who like takes my jacket and puts it on for me. I have a guy who sets up and puts on my mic and my headset. I have a guy that always is like, "Yo, do you need tea or water or like whatever?" There's like all the external things are taken care of. So when it comes time to doing my job, I can literally just streamline focus on that one thing. And I feel the players feel the same way, right? Like, all the external stuff like the VOD review and the analysis is handled for them. So when it came time to, this is the TLDR, this is the stuff you need to know, and that's it. Let's now focus on being the best players you can be, and your job is to help with that. So I guess it leads me to, as broad or as specific as you want to be, what is your specific role as a coach? What do you personally do for NRG?
Well, the main thing is like for energy, we pretty much either if we have some days we want to watch replays. Basically, I formulate strategies on what teams are doing, tendencies and stuff like that, what we're doing constantly that we need to fix and work on, and just formulate a game plan that we've been pretty much working on since the offseason to perfect in the situations where we play a team that we never played before, and we can make them play how we want to play and just do what we want. And then pretty much like with scrims, I'm always watching their scrims, always giving them feedback in between games, what they're doing wrong, making sure that, they're taking it seriously, putting in the effort. And also in between games during league play, just reassuring them, making sure they're staying positive and focused.
Have you noticed like any changes between the players themselves since you've joined on?
A lot more vocal, a lot more involved. Everyone feels like they're comfortable in their roles, and it's smooth sailing pretty much for us.
I mean, what's that like, man? Like to be able to come in and interject your opinion and express things and then actually see physical change.
I mean, it's pretty awesome. Like I try to do this as a player, but it's a lot harder trying to be an analyst of your team while also playing for your team, because then leads to arguments for no reason. Again, my point across as a player is a lot difficult. Whereas a coach is, I'm just that extra person, man. I'm telling you, hey, you guys are screwing up here. Where they can't judge me saying, but you're doing everything right. It's like at the end of the day, I'm here for their best interests and making sure they win, and I'm giving my full efforts, and they understand that, respect me.
So do you think every team benefits from having a coach, a manager?
It depends. It depends on your players. Obviously, if they got egos on a team, it's gonna be hard to coach, and it depends on your resume as a coach. I feel like I have one of the best resumes as a coach. I competed for 5 seasons. I've done a bunch of lands. It speaks for itself. It's hard to say like what type of coach you need, because there's multiple roles of a coach. You could be like a motivational coach, or mental coach, or gameplay coach, or whatever. But I just feel like I have it all, in the sense that they can trust me, knowing that whatever I say is, what I think is best, and they're going to try it.
I'm sure. I mean, it's put you guys obviously into a really nice position. I mean, is there things that, I mean, obviously you're just getting started. This is your first season technically doing it, but even from like a logistical side, what things do you want as a coach to further move? So like, say, things that you want to accomplish specifically in your current role with NRG, things that you wish even the RLCS or DreamHack would allow, or any things that you hope to see the coaching role become for the esports scene as a whole.
I feel like they should involve more coaches. I feel like it changes the meta, because if you have a team here's getting absolutely stomped, they don't know exactly what to do, and matches are really short, coach can come in and say, hey, look, fix this issue. I feel like the team plays different, because the game is like basically momentum, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're screwing up all the same times and all the right place or wrong places, then it's just a snowball effect. Where I could come in there and reset the mindset of the team, reset what's going on, make sure they're doing this and that, and it changes the meta, because it just makes every team play different on the fly.
I mean, I know you and I have discussed this stuff, like the ability to have coaches like on stage and stuff. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I know you and I both strongly agree that's a need. It's something that in any sport, traditional, non-traditional, coaches are on the sidelines able to communicate with their players, their teams, whatever, to get certain things across. Do you think, or how do you think that should be implemented? do you think that they should introduce stuff like a tactical timeout, like once a series? Like, how do you think they should go about doing that stuff? And what's your opinion on like what things like that should they implement?
I mean, there's many ways they can do it. Like with other esports, they have a
Right.
coach come on at the beginning of this match or whatever, and then get off or whatever, and then you have coaches that are only able to talk in between games. Coaches that can really the only thing they could do is like hype up their team. I feel like just having a coach standing behind their players with a headset, allow them only to talk in between games or whatever. That's fine, you know. It's not really anything difficult. I feel.
Do you think that'd be ideal then? Like, if it, I mean, what is the perfect scenario for you? What do you want? Like, if you're like, all right, I get to pick and choose exactly what happens and how the coaches are involved. What do you think is fair, and what do you think should be done?
Yeah, like I said, I think allowing the coaches behind their players, being able to talk in between games, and just pump up their teammates, pretty much.
So in between that, like, so there's that minute break usually in between the next match,
Yeah.
like there.
hmm
And then, do you think timeout should happen? Do you think they should allow other things? Do you
I
think
don't. I don't think timeout should happen. Honestly, I think 60 seconds is enough, in my opinion, from my experiences during league play when I was coaching my team.
that's interesting? Because I know obviously there's a lot of benefit. I think it's because you mentioned it is a very big momentum based kind of thing. So say it's a best of seven, right? You guys just lost two in a row, three in a row, whatever it is, and you just we need a we need longer than a minute. Like these guys really need to get out of their own heads. And all of a sudden it's like, you know what, you can call a 2 minute timeout. You have the minute in between game, you call an extra timeout, you're like, all right, we're gonna stand up, we're gonna walk away real quick, we're gonna refresh, take some water, clear our heads. All right, let's get back into it, kind of thing. Like stuff like that I think would be interesting to experiment with. I don't think they should lead that directly into the RLCS, but I don't see why we can't try to do that in other tournaments to see how it goes. I mean, I think that alone could be a huge game changer for teams.
I mean, yeah, that'd be nice. Personally, like I feel like we haven't struggled that much in a sense where I can't convey myself in like a minute or
Mm-hmm.
depending on how long the game is. I'm all for it if they want to do timeouts or whatever. Sure, like one team gets a timeout, and they get to do it in between any game.
I just feel like it's something that would have to be experimented with because normally that's kind of what separates and decides the meta, right? Like you're given certain parameters that you have to fulfill things in, and if your circumstances, you have a minute in between games, that's when you can talk. That's it. You'll make it happen. But if you do have more time and space, I think that's only just going to give you more options to make your impact known with the team. You're gonna see different kind of styles and creativity, and there's gonna be certain things that certain people emphasize. Like if you're Greg and you're like, okay, I got to get these boys water, because they're healthy gamers. For you, maybe you take that extra time for more mentality or mindset stuff, or making sure you reemphasize like strategy or picking up things you notice. Because a minute does go by pretty quick. I mean,
I mean, they already have water there on the stage.
I,
They're fine with
I
that
know.
stuff.
It's more of a jab at Greg than anything, man. Come
Yeah.
on. Either way, man, like it's crazy. I'm happy that like you were able to transition. I know it's not easy because there is certain times where it's like you're looking for a roster, you just can't find one, and then you're kind of SOL. So the fact that you're getting to hang with the boys on a regular basis and coach and have found a whole lot of success is a easy way of putting it. You guys don't really lose anymore. It's kind of nice.
That's the goal. I mean, we want to win. It just sucks from like my POV, just looking at all these other teams struggle, and I know how to fix it, but you know they don't think I'm a good enough player to participate on their team. Maybe I don't know exactly what the reasoning is. Maybe they think I'm like toxic or whatever reason. I don't know. It's
I mean,
whatever.
I mean that's got to be frustrating in its own right. Like, obviously, the competitive person in you wants to play, like you said earlier, but at the same time, like, are you not? I mean, is it just not satisfying enough? Like, have you not found that level of satisfaction through coaching, or is it just you just can't equate it? Is it just not the same?
I mean, competing is just on a whole other level. Like, I could be satisfied coaching, but it's not going to be to the extent of me playing personally, like accomplishing something while doing it myself, you know? Whereas coaching, I have to rely on, I can only convey my opinions and stuff like that and hope my teammates execute the game plan. And if it works, it works, It's like, I don't know. For me, it's just like competing. I feel like I contributed a lot more in the sense that we won this series and the relief from it and everything, it's just outweighs everything in my opinion.
That's fair. I mean, it's hard to argue that because obviously when you're, especially when you have the experience that you've had for 5 seasons, it's tough to let that go, especially when you believe and have shown that, especially mentally for you, like I can still compete at this level. I know I can.
I
So,
mean, after watching some of these players, I mean, I know I can compete.
any in particular you wanna give a little nod at?
Just go to stat pages and scroll all the way to the bottom. You can see a fine amount of players that are pretty questionable.
Hey man, stats don't always tell the story, and you know that as well as I do.
Uh, Nowadays, stats do matter. I mean, you got to be contributing some way or another if you want to win.
Like,
If you want to win, get better placings. You got to have everyone contribute.
I mean, I think
No
Justin's a prime
excuses.
example of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that boy touches everything, and the stats back it, which is kind of baffling considering the other two aren't
I
too
mean
shy off either.
that man's a freak, man. Some of the stuff I see him doing in scrims is absolutely insane. I don't think I've ever seen it from any other player. Some of the mechanics he can pull off, it's just wild.
Any
It's just up
specifics?
to him to be mentally there. I mean, this guy can hit like air dribbles across the map into flip resets off the ceiling. Like this guy, absolutely crazy.
Takes
He
me
just
back.
knows how to like boost manipulate so well in the air.
It reminds me of it's kind of those like split second decisions, like when Garrett got bumped to the ceiling.
Yeah,
Just that intuitive to know to air roll over, get the flip reset, and then take a shot. Like that stuff happens like split second. The fact that he's doing this, I watch Justin play all the time on stream, and it's like the guy goes up, all of a sudden he gets bopped up, and he's like, okay, I'll boost up to the ceiling because it's faster. I'll reset there. I'll go back because I still somehow have 60 or 70 boost here still. It's like I don't know how you compete with that shit. Like I don't.
I mean Garrett's insane, but like when it comes to Justin, that man could do something crazy with the ball every single time he touches the ball. It's wild. Like a lot of teams feel the need to remove him from the game or try to challenge him so fast, but that man could do so much. Like I don't understand. I still don't understand to this day. It's so
knowing
insane.
knowing that he's like capable of that stuff, does that make you change your game plan?
It allows me to build upon our game plan. I don't feel like I would change too much. Like I said, obviously I'm working with a great group of guys that are very understanding and mechanically talented, and I'm able to build a game plans around teams and stuff like that based off how good they are, and allow us to do more risky esque stuff
Mm-hmm.
and just be more consistent. I guess you could say that's just the main thing for like anything I do with my teammates. I just want consistency with my teammates,
Do you think a lot
players,
of that has to
whatever.
do with Fire? 'Cause, I mean, Fire has always gone for the high percentage play. That's literally his play style.
I mean, Fire's the glue, man. He just does everything right. He's always in position to support, allows his teammates to excel, and he's not too bad himself. I mean, you see the stats he's putting up, man. That guy is insane.
Trust me, I did a piece on it. I've definitely been an advocate for that boy for quite a while, and I'm glad that people are finally starting to notice it. It's still not as vocal because I don't think it's ever going to be when you see Justin and Garrett do the things they do. It's kind of hard to not be overshadowed by that, which is unfortunate for Fire's sake. But the fact that Fire is still getting a couple nods here and there, I'm happy for him. Like the energy guys as a whole are just.
I just find it crazy that people want him dropped when I personally think over the offseason leading up to league play,
Oh, he's
was
got
the
even
most
better,
consistent
dude.
player. Yeah, he was the most consistent player in my eyes personally, like from E League all the way to DreamHack Leipzig to
Mhm.
league play. Most consistent player on our team.
Oh
By
yeah,
far.
he had a fantastic E League, and then WSOE even he had a pretty good
I
showing.
mean, he doesn't. That's the thing. He doesn't pull off all the flashy plays. I mean, he doesn't feel the need to. He can allow someone else to do it. He can just, set the pace of the game and make sure they're making the other team play off him instead of relying on his teammates too much to do everything for him. He's there in action too.
Well, speaking of people who were there at one point, you yourself, I know people are talking about it in chat as well. You did DreamHack quals, you did WSOE quals. You guys were really fucking close, both times.
Yeah, both. Yeah, with two different teams, by the way.
Yeah, I want take me through both of those. Like the floor is pretty much yours. I want you to just rant about like that whole process from DreamHack, WSOE, like everything that you guys did, the teams, how you chose like your teammates, like what going through the qualifiers was like. Do it for both events.
I'm trying to remember the beginning. I would say, I guess it's like in between. When was it? After E League, when I got home, I wasn't really playing the game much. I decided, hey, I just want to play the game, get better. So I, played a first killer in Atomic and did a bunch of six mans and, practice together and stuff like that, playing ranked together, just trying to get back into the flow of things. And pretty much led to when I guess Jacob's team decided to, or Sis decided he wanted to sub for Rogue or whatever.
Mhm.
They needed a third, so and they asked me pretty much to do WSW with them. It wasn't like a for sure thing for like next season because honestly, I was pretty much going to coach once I got an RLCS spot, just because money is an issue. So pretty much like from there, we only did like we scrimmed once pretty much, and that's about it. And we came into the day and we just destroyed. That's not much else to say. They pretty much let me lead what we wanted to do on the field. Like I pretty much said what we need to do against all these teams, and it happened to work out, except for the final match where we all didn't step up. It's fine, you know, it happens.
How was
We're
it? How was it
pickup
playing
team,
with?
so.
How was it playing with Joro and Jacob?
I mean, Joro, very, very good. I feel Jacob still needs to work on his rotations, but they're very talkative. They calm a lot and very supporting players. Very aggressive when I need them to. I feel like Joro was definitely a standout player in my eyes. Like, he impressed me a lot. I feel like when he got that spot initially on Rogue, I didn't think he was good enough, but when I played him, I was like super impressed.
Was that something
His
that
positioning is very reminiscent of like Garrett, just like very, very aware. Feel.
is that something that you kind of don't learn that appreciation until you either a play with them or next to them?
I mean, it depends. Players can always get better, right? So
Right.
I just felt like during that league play, he wasn't really impressive, nor was the whole team itself. But like when I
mean,
played with
obviously.
him, I saw so much potential. And it sucks too because I feel like they could have made it back into RLCS. I've actually, not that many people know, I actually helped them out when I got back from Vegas to coach them for promotion relegations for like half a week, and I saw strides in their improvement. It seemed like that team needed a coach. I feel because on promotion day they looked a lot better up until they lost this place, and then it was the morale was shot so far down. It's like so you can't recover from that,
Kind of
especially because
makes
I
me
wasn't with the team for that long. Yeah,
think of worse places now. I mean, it's kind of similar, right? Like,
yeah,
they come in, they get to a point, like they start off pretty hot, things are looking okay, and then the last week or two, like we finally start to see some semblance of like, okay, this is what they used to be. This is pretty positive. Karma's playing out of her mind again. Like, this is great. This is what we want. And then they just fall short, and they just can't get wins right now. And you've got to think like, where does this team go now? You guys are now in the RLRS. You got demoted. Things are not kicking. Like, roster change has to happen or something. Like, that's just demoralizing, man. Like, that hurts.
yeah. I mean, it sucks too because they've never experienced that before. Like someone like me, I've experienced losing in a season or getting almost last place, and it sucks and it's so hard to recover from it. But like I've experienced that, so I know like what to do nowadays. For them, it's confidence is a big thing, and if they're not confident, then you could see them whiff a lot. Pretty much, it's missed easy shots. It's definitely a team killer in my eyes.
Do you have like a
So good.
do you have like a blanket statement for people that are going through that stuff, like things that you can recommend? Because obviously there's a lot of people that try to team, and it applies to not just Rocket League, it applies to anything in life. When
Yeah.
you're expecting a big promotion and Joe Schmo gets it, even though you think you've worked harder, any of that kind of stuff. From your experience as a player, as a coach, like, do you have statements or things that you can kind of give as like a word of advice to the general public?
I mean, I look at it like this: you can't change the past. It's already happened. You can only fix upon it and make sure you're staying positive. It's just like really like the main thing. It's not anything crazy. It's very simple. You just got to look towards the future and work towards on things that you weren't good at. That's it.
Chrome's turning into a robot. He's going full Cloud9. Chad, hold on. Chrome's giving us a little bit of issues with his internet right now. Hold on.
Hello?
Yo, you good?
Yeah, I guess I DC'd on Discord. That's cool.
Hey, all good.
All right, where was I at?
Basically just talking about it's a mentality thing. It's a confidence thing, right?
Pretty much, yeah. It's just you got to look towards the future. You can't think about wow, I actually sucked that series. Oh my god, I missed this easy save, or wow, my teammate missed an open net. That's crazy. I mean, you literally got to just look towards the future and work together and make sure everyone's on the same page. Make sure everyone doesn't lose trust in each other because You always got another match in the future.
It's just,
You always got another chance to prove yourself.
I mean, it's crazy, man. Because after you guys were in WSOE, a lot of us looked and were like, "Damn, Chrome's playing out of his mind. This is the best Jacob we've seen in a long time. Still some room to grow, but after that point, a lot of us were like, "Damn, he's making a pretty good like free agent nod. Like someone picked this guy up, and it still didn't happen. And even more so, I mean, you guys played in DreamHack. So talk about DreamHack. Was it a similar situation? I mean, you guys still went super close.
Yeah, I just feel like overall in the off season I got so much better mechanically because I feel like that's something I've always struggled with
Mm-hmm.
in a sense, and I feel like I peaked in season 5 and I was only getting better from there. So just riding that off season after RLRS, it's just like I just figured, hey, why not give it a shot? I have nothing to lose. I don't have any nerves really when I play anymore. It's like I have nothing to prove to really anyone, but just have fun with it and lead a bunch of guys that I've never experienced it yet, and very young talent, but it was definitely an experience, very surprising. Just learning more about myself as a player and what to do in certain situations against certain teams,
Which is,
and just having an experience.
I mean, it's crazy that despite playing 5 seasons professionally and stuff like that, you're still able to come back, even as like just a pickup team, in through those moments and still gain, things that help you make you better as a player, coach, whatever. It just goes to show like how much there is to like. There's no seen it all, done it all kind of thing. Like there's always something extra, and I think that applies towards everything, right? Like people always ask like, "Yo, I've been playing this game for X thousand amount of hours." It's like, dude, you're still not perfect. Like you can still be better. There's a couple times where we see glimpses of people that have their quote unquote perfect games, but when you're relying on 2 other players, I don't think it's ever possible to be completely perfect. You just can't.
No, it's definitely a very like team oriented game. That's for sure. You can't have one person do everything, and making sure everyone stays positive and focused on the future, or in the game, you're always going to perform better. You're going to be more consistent.
What do you think is like the number one thing for a team? Is it communication? Is it positioning? Is it
Uh, Definitely communication. I feel like if you don't have communication, it's going to lead to more problems. I like to say it's like a train wreck. It snowballs down. Once your communication goes and your positioning goes, and then your rotations get messed up, and it just goes downhill from there. I feel communication is key.
so? I actually had this conversation on broadcast last Thursday. So last Thursday, I casted an Apex Legends tournament with my buddy Bill for Code Red, and we got into the conversation of something that I actually had a conversation with one of Axeltoss's buddies. His name's Josh. Back when he did like Machinima a long time ago, um, and he talked about because he comes from like a League of Legends background. I come from more of a more of an FPS kind of style, and it's changed. But the general premises of the conversation was there's multiple ways of having communication in game. Obviously, you have sometimes your in-game leaders, you have shot callers, stuff like that. But the way that comms are presented is I took the approach of less is more. Only say the relevant information or only the things that pertain because I don't want to distract in other ways. But then there's other people that say like constant communication is better because it allows you to kind of just keep this constant mentality of what we want to accomplish. What do you think is the ideal route personally? Because this is a subjective thing. It's not going to be one size fits all for every team.
I mean, obviously, perfect world, you have everyone contributing with your very fast, very simple comms. Nothing like crazy, like telling. It's a conversation, like what you want your teammates to do in a situation. Like, oh, you want someone to turn for the ball there, you tell them to turn. Basically, like I want people to like direct each other because I feel like it causes less, mishaps. I feel in a sense where you don't have to think too much. You have someone tell you what to do, and as long as everyone's doing it, it's just a smooth cogwheel. I feel just everything going according to plan.
Do you feel it's because like you're able to so obviously people's decision making is different. Like so if I'm sitting behind you, I get a bigger field of view of what's happening. I take in more information. So if I say this is what I believe is the ideal route and then you perform that action, I then can do what I want to do ideally after that exists.
Yeah, I feel like that's very very true. Yeah.
So it's basically as if there's 2 of you on the field. I think is a kind of a cool way to explain it, right? Like if
What do you
I'm
mean?
able if I'm telling you what to do just out of like what I see and what I think, and you perform that, I now am setting up exactly what I have pictured this play to become.
Yeah.
Therefore, I can kind of carry it through.
I mean, I feel like in a sense where if you don't have everyone coming, with teams that have like either language barrier issues or someone who doesn't want to talk as much, I feel like when you have one person direct, it makes everything smooth in a sense because communication is really key, and you got to be really fast. And this game is all about decision making and minute decisions at like a very fast pace. So you got to be on point. And when you direct to someone that doesn't talk as much, it makes it a lot easier. But I do feel like the perfect team, you need to have everyone calming and directing each other.
It's got to be a give and take thing, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, do you agree with me that there are specific teams that I can think about right now that really struggle with that? I've like two or three on the top of my head that I'm like,
With communication,
comms are a big problem.
EG for sure. I don't think Splice struggles from that. I think Ghost struggles from that. I don't think Rogue struggles from that. I don't think Space Station, because I know Space Station has sat through Econs pretty much everything for his team.
I don't think Space Station's allowed to with how fast they try to play. Like if comms are off, that team doesn't work.
I mean, you got a young gun on the team, Typical. He doesn't really talk much, and then you got someone who can barely speak English because he's French Canadian. It's kind of like K-Dop in a sense, where you can only say a few things here and there, and it's like the perfect example is Dignitas from season 4 to season 5, even season 6. You got Violent Panda telling everyone what to do, and everyone just listens, and there's no mishaps. Everything's perfect.
I mean, it's honestly the first time that we saw teams play perfect. I mean, even still with the mistakes, it just seemed like no matter what happened, there was a plan in place to make sure that if something didn't go their way, someone was there to answer it. And honestly, not to you guys, it feels the same way right now for NRG. Like, there's been times where there has been glaring mistakes. Someone will whiff, someone will make a mishap will occur, but someone is always in a position to support that. Always.
I mean, you can't play perfect. Oh.
This mic keeps falling.
But yeah, like I said, you can't always play perfect. You're always going to make a mistake.
Right.
Whether it be in comms or... You just got to limit them, pretty much. And the main thing is, like, in a tournament sense, like, you guys got to always, rebound just in case something goes wrong.
Right.
So, if you get demoed, it can mess up your comms, too. It can mess up your positioning, your rotations. You got to be able to regroup, basically.
That's the beauty of Rocket League, right? Is demos as a whole. You are taking a risk by expending boost, putting yourself out of position, whatever it is. And obviously, we've gotten to the point in play where you can kind of still be in position and kind of sweep through on your rotation with a demo, so it's not as detrimental as it once was. But, like, you're still committing a lot to a play that's not a guarantee. So there's this perfect balance of doing that while also trying to create chaos on the other team. And, like, I don't know, like, that as a whole, I think is something that we don't really talk about that much, even on broadcast. I mean, we make nods to it, but I don't think we've ever taken the time to fully talk in detail about, like, what demos really do for Rocket League as a game. Because imagine if you couldn't demo people in Rocket League. You just take that mechanic out. Entire game's different.
I feel like the game would be very stale, in my opinion.
Oh, I agree.
You can have that team that has the perfect rotation, perfect defense, and if you remove bumping or demoing, it just changes the whole game. The game becomes stale.
Can you imagine if you could only bump, though? Like, you can only put that guy out of position by smacking him?
I don't know. Bumping's not bad either.
I mean,
if you were to get rid of one of them, I'd get rid of demos personally. Bumping should still be something that is a thing.
I think it's just... I mean, there's times, obviously, when bumping is better than the demo.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just one more...
I mean, bumping, you bump someone when they're about to jump, you launch them across the map. They're out for more than however long a demo is. 3 seconds, 5 seconds.
And even if they have the boost and they have to, like,
use that
to recover or, whatever,
exactly.
That's now like 100 boost pad.
Bumping is definitely superior in a sense if you get the perfect bump.
Yeah. It's just crazy to me the fact that people have gotten to the point where they're now going for, like, aerial bumps. Like, people are literally chasing people down to set up plays, which is just, it's stupid. Like, I mean, you've been there since the beginning, so have I. Like, this game has evolved so much to the sense that it's just like, I never pictured us getting to this point in Rocket League.
I mean, it changes everything because you can have a team that just gets absolutely, they can't get past the defense at all, and there's got to be multiple ways to score.
Mm-hmm.
If they're covering all your passes and stuff like that, just cause chaos on their defensive end. It makes them change their whole game plan. You got a defensive team start making very bad touches that they usually never make, or instead of catching the ball, they're hitting the ball away because they're scared. It's a whole mentality thing too. You throw someone off the game, it makes them play worse.
It's something that I think you guys have done really well. I mean, I think it was the Cloud9 series for regionals that really showed that. The fact that you guys were under, or was it G2? I forget which one, but you guys were under a ton of pressure. And it was against G2.
Oh,
guys,
it was
you guys had a bunch of missed opportunities, both Energy and G2.
It was you talking about Cloud9, the 11-minute overtime, or whatever long it was.
Maybe it was Cloud9. Both of those series had a lot of missed opportunities, but Cloud9's probably the better one because there's a moment when you guys were on defense for a solid 2 minutes straight.
Yeah, that's definitely the overtime then.
Yeah.
It just shows composure too.
Mm-hmm.
It's the main thing. It's you're making all these mistakes, but you're still holding it down. It's a very big thing, in my eyes. Shows consistency as well.
Only people realize, unless they've played against other pro, if you've never played against pros, I don't think you realize how difficult it is to play defense against a team that's fast, putting that many shots on target, and you can only have roughly 30 boosts per player because they're taking everything else. You guys are literally every 2-3 seconds picking up 2 boost pads, getting back in position, and trying to make another save. It was disgusting the amount of saves you guys had to make before you could clear it out. It was stupid.
There were so many opportunities we should have scored, but it happens. Nothing you can really do about it. Just making sure you guys just keep looking forward and pressing on, keeping the same game plan, and eventually it'll pay off.
Well, I feel we've talked a lot about Rocket League in general, but I don't know how it is for you right now. You live in Florida, right?
Yeah.
It's humid as shit. It's so humid here.
Yeah, it's really bad.
But you moved recently, you said, right?
Yeah, last year before, I want to say regionals or the final week of season 5, I moved 3 hours north because I was in West Palm Beach, Florida, and then I moved up here to near my parents.
Is that the reason you moved? Just to be closer to family?
My lease on my apartment was pretty much done. So I decided, hey, let me just move up here. Be easier. New setting. Be easier for international travel. Focus on Rocket League and stuff like that. It's a main thing.
What originally made you move away from family and stuff when you were younger? Just get out of the house, or? Because obviously you're one of the older pros, so you got a little bit more life experience than some of these other guys.
Just moving on in life, man. It's just how it is. You eventually move out of your parents' house, pretty much. Working a full-time job at the time while playing Rocket League, and parents living their life and stuff like that. And it just happens.
What were you before Rocket League? What were you doing?
I pretty much worked in a produce department of a main store, and before that, I was working in the sheriff's office in basically an office space. I've been doing that for Jeez.
So you were technically Officer Gomez for
pretty
real?
Much a year. Nah. Pretty much a year after I graduated from high school, because I did a year in college, and then it wasn't for me at the time, and decided, hey, let's just work, and then go from there.
It's crazy how common that is for esports players too, or people in esports. You just get lucky to the fact where you're God, I hate school so much. Now I have an excuse to stop. Stay in school, kids. By the way,
yeah,
please get your degree.
I just have my my quarrels with the public education system, and then my attention span. I like to do other things here and there, and trying to keep focused on one thing is very tough in my eyes.
Yeah, so Florida born and raised, I assume?
Yeah. Born in Boca Raton, Florida. Been here ever since in Florida.
Did you, when you guys were kids, did you ever travel out of town, or when was the first time that you actually left your state and started exploring the world? Because I'm sure Rocket League did what it did for you is what it did for me.
Funnily enough, I didn't actually go on a plane until Rocket League, pretty much, until DreamHack Land is my first ever plane ride. Whenever I left the state or whatever, I was always either via train or car, road trips, stuff like that, because my parents never liked flying. and I have
Okay.
family up in New Jersey. So when I was younger and stuff like that, throughout the years, we'd go up there and visit for like a you know extended period of time, like 1 or 2 weeks, just seeing family and hanging out and stuff like that, and pretty much just road trips and stuff like that. And I didn't leave the country till like I
Probably
want to say
Amsterdam, I assume.
I didn't go to Amsterdam.
Oh yeah, that's right. You missed out. It was great.
I mean, the only time I ever left the country is via like cruise ships because I used to go on cruise ships a lot back when I was younger.
That's something like, I mean, we don't. I mean, obviously, I'm in the middle of nowhere in Wisconsin, right? Like, I've got Great Lakes, which cool. You can go on Lake Michigan and stuff, but I feel like because you are, on, borders of Atlantic Ocean and all that kind of stuff, like cruises are more of an option, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I can't really take a cruise unless I go through like the canal and stuff, which would be really weird. So, I mean, do you have like fondest memories of like childhood and stuff? Is it from trips? Is it from? I mean, what
Yeah, I
are?
would say it was definitely trips for sure. Traveling up north, seeing family because we have a very large family up in New Jersey and stuff like that. Just hanging out with like our cousins and stuff like that, doing whatever we wanted, and just going wherever exploring together with family. And then obviously cruise ships are always a joy in my opinion. Hanging out with family and just seeing new sights. It's a fun experience.
Do you have any siblings?
I have two brothers,
Older, younger?
older.
What's it like being the baby? I'm the baby of my family too.
I mean, has its
Definitely has its
issues
perks.
here,
It
getting
has
picked
its,
on.
it has its perks though, man. Like
Yeah,
you wait for them
yeah,
to mess up, and then you take full advantage of it and learn from their mistakes because they were too stupid to figure it out.
yeah, yeah. It's like any other family, just messing around, picking on each other.
I mean, poor mom, dude. Surrounded by four guys. Like,
Yeah. I mean, my dad was a cop too, so he's a very serious person, and my mom was worked in the sheriff's office as well. She used to be a former cop and stuff like that, so very like strict parents in a sense. So
do you think that shaped kind of just you as an overall like your mentality towards? Because like I mean, it's the same thing with other things, right? Like it's kind of a give and take. So my parents also very strict growing up. It's just very traditional family. Had to work for everything you got.
mhm,
I wasn't given anything. It's like, yo, you want a car, you bust your ass, you make money, and then you pay
yeah,
for it. And so the same thing can go both ways. Like can either mold you and shape you into how you are, or can lead you the opposite. So like for me, it was like religion. Growing up, I was forced to go to church, this and that, and now
same,
I don't spend any time with it whatsoever because I
same.
hated it. So I think that goes both ways. So do you think the strictness has led you to more that path or the opposite?
A little bit of both. I feel like my personality overall, like I'm a very punctual person. Like I'll always be there right at the dot, if not way before.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very serious about, so I'll give like 200% into everything. I'm very serious about what I do, but I'm not very good at portraying my feelings that well, in a sense that make sure that doesn't piss off someone. And I get mad too a lot more because my parents usually get mad a lot and stuff like that. So it definitely carries over, and definitely I've like the whole church thing too. It's like we moved on from that, and it just happens.
I mean,
It's not something I'm
I think that's
into.
part of our age group too. Is like
Yeah,
when we were growing up, church and stuff was used as like a moral compass. Like it was there to teach you like the golden rule, like the don't do things to other people that you don't want done to yourself kind of mentality. Like that's pretty much what church was used as. And as we've gotten older, right? Like we just know, hey, don't be a shitty person because
yeah.
that's not a good thing to do, right? Like I don't need a higher deity of whatever to influence younger for that. So I forget the like statistic, but it's like 80% of like millennials and younger just don't believe in religion anymore. Like it's crazy the shift that we've had.
I mean, it's because like nowadays, like everyone's on their phones and online. Compared to when I was growing up, it was only just becoming a thing. So like everyone's in person, pretty much
Yeah,
more
you're
outside, more involved.
24, 25,
I'm 26.
20. What the fuck? When did that
Yeah,
happen?
it happens.
Damn,
Years
dude.
fly by when
When
you hit
did
your
you
20s.
turn
Years fly
26?
by
What the fuck?
in March, end of March.
Damn. Well, shit.
Yeah,
Happy birthday. Late, like super late. I hope
thanks,
I
man.
wish. I hope I wished you a happy birthday when that shit rolled around.
Uh, Personally, I don't really care.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
it's whatever.
if
It's
I
just
missed
another
it,
day.
I'm with you on that one, man. I've never been a big birthday. I just hate that kind of attention. And I think it's the same way with you.
Me personally, I'm the same with like holidays or anything special. Like
Yeah.
it's whatever to me. It's whatever.
Just another day. Yeah.
Another day.
Oh, I don't feel like I need specific
The
dates to
special,
do
yeah,
things. Yeah.
exactly. I'm the same way.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that has to do though. I mean, I'm also from a big family. On my dad's side, my dad's one of 11 because they grew up on like an agriculture farm family kind of thing in the Midwest. So the only way that you could have cheap labor is by having kids and then just make them
Yeah.
work on the farm, which is ironic because the cost to raise a kid is probably a lot more than just
Nowadays, yeah.
hiring an employee. Yeah, true nowadays. Yeah, I guess that makes sense because back then it's like a minimum wage job could buy you a house in 2 years. So
Nowadays, you gotta have like 3 jobs if you work minimum wage.
that's crazy, man. But it's like I think that's why
America.
that's why I appreciate you as much as I do, Chrome, is because you understand. You've worked a 9 to 5 job. You haven't just been
Yeah.
handed esports. Like even Shogun. Like Shogun's not a young dude anymore, but he came to us when he was 19, I think, 19, 20, something like
Yeah.
that. His first job as esports commentator. Period. Like he's never worked a real job in his life.
More power to him, man. I don't,
Yeah.
I don't, if you have the opportunity to, do something incredible, do it. You don't have to work a regular job, man. It's probably like it's like slave labor, pretty much.
Hey
It's
man,
not something you want to do. It's just there for
I
the
believe a lot of
temporary.
these young kids need to work like they need to go full allegiance like Seabass and work at Chick-fil-A for like a day or something just to like teach them like
I mean, for a first job, it definitely teaches you perspective and stuff like that,
Mhm.
and how to be an adult. Like you mature a lot faster. You have to deal with, you know, responsibilities. I feel like, yeah, I can agree with you on that. But hey man, if you don't have to work those type of jobs, man,
kudos, you know.
hats off to you.
Yeah, I'm envious
It's
of it,
bad.
but I feel like what we should do for esports moving forward is there's like 2 requirements. We give you media training, right? So you guys come in, you have a
Yes,
media day,
media training.
you guys do like that
thing.
kind of stuff. We then make you work like for Taco Bell for like an 8-hour shift or like retail or something to give you that humility of like, God, people suck. I'm like, yeah, now appreciate what you're doing instead, and then you can move on in your career. You know, it's like you must complete these things before I can check off saying yes, you're officially a pro or something. Just
Mhm.
because a lot of these guys just don't. Like, I would love to see some of these guys realize what it's like to work in office 9 to 5, and what the other side of the coin is.
I feel like, yeah, especially nowadays with all these events happening, I feel like media training is a big thing.
Yeah,
I mean, personally, throughout my whole life, I was pretty much a quiet dude. Like, I really didn't participate too much in public speaking or anything like that. So all this stuff's pretty much new to me as well. Only public speaking is like interviews and stuff like that. It's just like for job stuff. But that, it's not. It doesn't feel
hey
like.
man, look at you
public
now,
speaking.
fucking taking the time to sit down and just shoot the shit. I can't imagine you
Yeah.
doing that in season 2, 3. You know.
No, definitely not.
It's crazy. So, like, you look at any of the guys that have been around for a long time and just seeing like the difference in where they've started and where they are now. I mean, the only people that really talked and stuff were the casters, honestly, because we are all an older bunch by a significant amount. I mean, all the pros coming in like Turtle and Garrett and stuff were 15, 16, fresh off the block, baby faced, afraid of the world, afraid of people, and then it's
It's
like,
not so bad once you get the hang of it. It's like pretty much anything in life. You keep practicing and you get better at it. No one's gonna be perfect.
what was the I guess what's the like more than anything when it comes to just like rather than competing but like the external stuff, the media, the whatever, what thing were you most intimidated by, or things that you have enjoyed from the like the outside of like competing and being a coach, like when you're actually face of the camera, this and that, what things do you really really enjoy?
Definitely like going into events and stuff like that. Or hello,
Yeah, you're
did I
good.
like out?
No, you're good.
Like you mean like going to events and stuff like that?
I mean, like, so when I first came in as a caster, right,
Yeah.
a lot of intimidation of um being on camera, and the concept of like people judging you for what you say and this and that. Like when you're a public figure, there's a lot of things that are very overwhelming. Like it catches you off guard, but looking back now, like I'm super appreciative because it's allowed me to show my personality more. It's made me more comfortable with who I am. But the things that I really enjoy, like when people nowadays, like if I have random people that come up and want to sit down and talk Rocket League, I love it. You know,
Yeah.
it's things that I was originally afraid of. Like when I was a kid, super shy, very kept to myself, definitely an introvert. But when people see me in public or at RLCS events, they're like, dude, you have no issues talking to people. And I'm like, I mean, part of it's the job. It's things I've gotten used to. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I want to crawl up in a blanket and turn off all the lights in my house.
I mean, it's the same thing. Like I said, with experience, like you got kids nowadays. They're growing up, man. They don't really hang out with a lot of the friends in their school. They go home. They're on their computer on their phones. They don't really talk to anyone. Me personally, I've worked 2 jobs and very sociable guy. I feel in person,
Mhm.
and it's just experience and stuff like that. Same thing if like ever getting a girlfriend, it's you've got to experience it.
Is there any
If you
things
never
that
talk to anyone,
so now that you've experienced a lot of it, is there any things that you enjoy that you didn't initially think you would?
I mean, this is always something I wanted to do, man. Previous experience, I've always like in high school played, your console FPSs and stuff like that. Your shooters, your other esports from back in MLG days. It's always something I wanted to do. And Rocket League, when it came out, I saw potential in it, and it happened to pay off. So
Is being a pro gamer personality coach what you expected?
I always wanted to be a player, but that was short lived, as you could see. Coaching was never
There's
something
still
I
time,
saw
Chrome.
in
There's
the
still
future.
you could come back as the
Yeah,
oldest
I hope so.
RLCS player and crush it, man.
Hope it happens. But I definitely see myself coaching, for sure. I could see myself managing though, but I never thought I'd be coaching. That's for sure.
Managing just because you have that kind of strict, background
Yeah,
or that real life experience, probably.
and just like knowing how to deal with people. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure coaching has had its own difficulties. I guess is a
yeah.
sure it's a
A
learning
lot of
experience.
testing the waters. If some things don't go well and some things do.
Any specifics you can give?
Uh, I want to say like trying to think. Something that works really well for me is I allow the guys to try things first, see what works, and then direct from there. But I would never tell them like what I used to do when I first started was like I'd tell them exactly what they need to do in a situation, and it didn't really work that well because then they try to play too perfect, and then things happen that make cause more mistakes, and definitely saw that happening. It wasn't a good look there,
Hmm.
and that's something I improved upon as well.
It's more of like a self discovery kind of thing. Like you know what the issue is, you present the issue, and then you let them kind of get to the conclusion on their own.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
I'll interject here and there. Whereas before, it's like they try to play too perfect, and when you try to play too perfect, you're thinking too much, and then you're hesitating, and it goes downhill from there.
It's an interesting. It's so I so in free time I do, and I'm curious if you do anything like this too. So in my downtime, I try to go to local high schools and colleges and stuff because when I was in high school and college, I hated it. I hated every minute of it, especially
Same.
in like grade school and stuff growing up. I was never encouraged to follow passions or things that I was really in. And when you have this guy who comes in who I don't look like your typical nerd, thankfully. I've got
Hmm.
tattoos and stuff, so when I go to high schools and stuff, they're like there's no way this guy's a whatever. So when I start talking about like yeah, I work in esports, there's a bunch of different facets to it. My entire high school career, I was told like gaming is a joke, like you need to focus on other things, and then being able to tell those kids, very impressionable age, like, yo, fuck what your teachers say. If you're passionate about something, fucking go for it. But be responsible about it. Get your grades
Yeah,
done. Get your grades up. Don't cause trouble. Put your head down and grind. But make sure that if you're going to be passionate about something, put effort into it. You've got to. And seeing some of those kids actually get to that point where they're like, this is great. So those are things that I find myself doing in my spare time that I didn't think I would initially do, but like the importance of kind of what it's done for me or otherwise, like I love the concept of giving back and everything else. But I mean, I don't know if those are things that you're learning to do through coaching or, because obviously I don't think you expected to find yourself here. Like, I don't think anybody did.
yeah. It's definitely an experience I did not see myself, but I'm here for the ride and trying to better myself as a person and better myself at what I'm doing. And definitely growing up, I'm the person that I didn't know exactly what the hell I wanted to do. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there, and it just happened to be where I just ended up here doing something I love because I love playing video games, and it happened to pay off where this game blew up, and then esports has become a thing, and nowadays, and it's an actual realistic opportunity for pretty much anyone now.
What has been your favorite thing, quote unquote, along the ride?
I mean, personally, going to all these events and meeting everyone, talking to a lot of people, and just experiencing the atmosphere of esports and seeing everything go down, the production and everything is just it's crazy.
I think a lot of that stems though from both you and I growing up and seeing it kind of evolve. I
Yeah,
mean, the coolest phone when we were kids is a Razor flip phone, or the Sidekick, right? And I say some of
yeah, the
those
Razor
words,
flip phone.
and some of the
Yeah,
kids in chat are like, "I have no idea what that is. Like, what's a flip phone?"
Blackberries.
Yeah. So I mean, it was evolving as we were growing up. So
Yeah,
we kind of built it to be this thing, and now that we're directly correlated to it, I think is why you and I kind of really enjoyed it as much as we do. Um, and even even close friends of mine, when I come back from events and show photos and videos from behind the scenes, like, jaw on the ground, like they're taken back by it, and the rest of us are just like, "Yep, this is another day in the office." We're used to it, so I think that definitely has its correlation. Um, but for you, I mean, it can't all be esports, right? Like you've got to find downtime, right? You've got to do other stuff outside of Rocket League. I hope to keep yourself sane.
well, yeah, I would say like back in the day, I used to play sports. Like when I was younger, growing up, I played baseball and football. But then I transitioned during like through high school. It's just like something I wasn't interested in into anymore. But pretty much like hanging out, shooting it, this messing around with the boys and stuff like that, just like friends and stuff like that outside of school, which also led to into like work as well. It's like going out and having a good time at like bars, clubs, whatever.
Because you actually have
Beach.
age to do it, unlike half the pros.
Yeah,
Yeah.
going on like party cruises with a bunch of friends and stuff like that, just hanging out, and just
Do
living
you
life.
do you still get time to hang with old friends and everything? I know you moved away, but then are
Not
slightly
not that I
closer.
moved now. I don't really talk to them much anymore because it doesn't seem realistic.
Is that
Because
something that
we're all
you?
grown adults and we all have our lives. So
So I have ran into the same issue. I mean, during the
yeah,
RLC season, I disappear. Even with like content creator friends, like if I go jump into like John Sandman's chat or something like that, and I say, "Hey, what's up?" He's like, "Dude, where have you been?" Like that's the first thing. He's like, I feel like I haven't talked to you in forever." I'm like, "It's because you haven't. Because you and I both keep our nose down. We work really hard during the season because it's our priority, right? We're married to our
yeah,
jobs pretty much." So whenever I have downtime, try to schedule a LAN with my close buddies. So
yeah,
like within the next 2 weeks, I'll invite all those guys over to my place and we'll game for the weekend if it works out, right? Like it's just something that I continuously try to do because I know it's not something that's going to be able to happen forever. It's a
yeah.
it's a harsh reality of it. So is that something that you've ever? I mean, outside of, I mean, I'm sure there's guys that you still want to connect with and talk to. I mean, they're good buddies. I assume that you've known
Yeah.
pretty much your whole life, assuming you haven't moved that much.
Yeah, I mean, it's a sense where it's like you grow up and you don't have that much time anymore to do anything, and it just happens to be in a situation where you have to find the right time to connect with someone or go out and have a good time. Because nowadays, when you're this old, you have so many responsibilities and so many jobs or whatever you're doing in your life. You don't you can't really hang out and do things that you're doing when you're younger with all your friends. So definitely nowadays it sucks, but you move on, make new friends.
I mean, they talk about money not buying happiness, but it sure as hell relieves a lot of stress. Like
Yeah,
if you don't have to worry
you're
about
more
money,
free, I guess you'd say.
yeah, it's it's the problem of being an adult, having bills and taxes to pay and all the really really fun stuff in life that these younger guys get to look forward to. I know Garrett last time he was on was talking about he's had to pay taxes legitimately for the first time, and he's just like, God, it sucks so
It's
much.
rough. It blows. For how much they take away from a an entrepreneur, self-employed person, it's pretty sad. But it's just how it is.
Not a whole lot you can
No,
do about it.
yeah, you can't do shit.
Nope, you just gotta suck it up and take it, which isn't a fun situation for anything in life, but we don't need to go into that.
Yeah,
I guess Chrome, the big things, I know that we joked about doing this a while ago, but
yeah.
is there any things that like you're extreme personally really really passionate about, things that you want to get off your chest, things that you want to rant about, any things that you have just not had a platform or a time to just publicly say something that you would like to?
Uh, I feel like these guys in competing, you guys got to get your things together, man. you start slacking off and not take it seriously, you're gonna lose your job, and you're gonna have someone just as hungry take what you have. People need to realize that not everything's handed to you. You need to work hard and make sure you maintain that effort if you want to stay where you're at. And I don't know, for any up and comers out there, man, just keep going at it and keep grinding. Sometimes things will pay off and sometimes they don't. You just move on.
Yeah, I mean, piggybacking off of that, I mean, you can see it. I mean, you look at these RLRS teams coming in, right? They're busting their ass with no pay because they know what it's like to not be, for the opportunity to get that position. But
Yeah,
the thing they need to realize is they finally got there. Now they have to maintain it and keep it, because that's something a lot of RLRS teams struggle doing. You look throughout history, this is the first season that we've seen a change. Like,
yeah,
FlyQuest came in and almost had an opportunity until Energy wiped the floor with them in regionals. They come back the next season, they go to land with Cronovi. Awesome. That's history being made. You look at Barcelona, kind of cheating the system a little bit, having 2x pros, but
yeah.
they still had to do it the right way. They dropped out, they requalified, they went through RLRS, and now they're, they promoted, they played RLCS, now they're going to land with an auto bid. Also making history. You look at, right now we're trending that more RLRS teams qualify than RLCS teams stay.
Yeah.
And a lot of that, I think,
it's a thing of like complacency, man. That's the thing I'm talking about. Like, teams are slacking off. They're not looking for new things to work on, and they're not putting any effort. Once they're there, they want to coast on. It punishes them as they learn eventually.
it's unfortunate too, because for some that get that learning experience, it's too late. They disband and we never see them again. I mean, you look at CLG, you look at
That's a perfect example. Those guys, they never really practiced as much. They just played off raw talent, and eventually it catches up when everyone else catches up.
yeah, I mean,
Bites you in the ass. So
you look at any of the vets, the guys that have been, not the younger guys, but the old SARP guys. There's only a handful left. Fire,
yeah,
Remco, Cookser. I mean, Greasy's back, which is crazy to think about.
was Greasy a server? I thought he was new.
He was new, but I mean, season 2, he was here since the beginning, pretty much.
I mean, I've talked to him like prior to Leipzig and stuff like that. Man, that dude he's motivated, man. He wants to make it on top, and it shows, man.
Complexity.
I knew that team was going to qualify.
Complexity
I just knew it.
smacked in those promo relegations.
Those guys have the right head on their shoulders.
Yeah, I jokingly said if that Complexity wants to bring me out to the to DreamHack to coach for them, I gladly will, and I'll coach them how to drink like real men. Skybarred up, dude.
Greasy's crazy, man.
Greasy's a homie. He was in chat. And we were messing the other day. He's like, "Yeah, just stay in my room." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know about that, man."
I
part
love
of
that guy.
my coaching would be either A, let's do this right and no Skybar, or please lose right away so we can have some party fun. So depending on what you guys want to accomplish, I probably better if I wasn't there. So.
And he's not he's not egotistical. Like, he if he messes up, he looks to improve upon it, and he's always very humble at where he's at and stuff like that.
Is there any pros that like you can give the nod to? Like, obviously your group is definitely hardworking and an eye on the prize. But is there any ones that may be lesser known, or any pros that you want to give shout outs to that may not necessarily get the credit they deserve?
Definitely Cronovi. He's one person. He's always very hardworking. Sorry.
No, you're good, man.
Torment. These guys are very quiet. One sec.
Yeah, drink some water, man.
Oh my god, I'm
Chrome's dying.
Something in my throat. But yeah, like someone like Cronovi, Torment, very hardworking. They don't really, they're not really in the limelight nowadays, but they're always improving, I feel.
I mean, you can see it in even like Cronovi's streams, right? Like,
Yeah.
you go to that guy and he's practicing mechanics. Like, it is not an easy thing. You ask any of those guys, the original point I was making with like Cronovi, Cookser, Remco, whoever, those guys are people that have been here since the beginning. that are still competing at the highest level 7 seasons later, soon to be 8. That is not easy to do and maintain in a game that is ever changing. I mean, look at the talent that has come in. Your Justins, your Torments, your Squishies, your whatever, that are overtaking some of these spots. And the fact that they're still able to maintain it is unbelievable, to be completely honest. But every time you go into Kronovi's stream, you can see him, he's still explaining his thought process. He's grown a lot as a person in general. Just the maturity from, because he used to be pretty toxic when he first started. But,
Yeah.
He matured very quickly. But you go in, he's practicing, ceiling shots and flip resets and, helicopter spin, stalls and this and that. Because he knows he has to keep up his mechanics. Because when Season 3 came around, Cookster said it best himself, biggest meta shift we've seen in Rocket League history. We went to the super fast playstyle, and a lot of those guys fell off. Your Moseses, your Insolences, your whatever. Like, they just don't exist anymore.
I mean, that's just something you gotta, that's a trait that you have to have. You gotta be able to adapt, man. If the meta changes, you gotta put in the effort and show that you're still hungry. That's all it comes down to. These guys at the very beginning, they can still compete, man. They just lost their drive and stopped grinding as much, or got complacent. Pretty much, like, I feel like anyone could really be at the top right now. Just a lot of these younger guys, they just see all their idols, do all this crazy stuff. They want to be where they're at, so they're gonna put in extra effort.
Yeah,
So.
it's why esports scenes, and it always goes back, I think, to me being older. I mean, it's the same thing. Like, you look at a traditional sense, the NFL. It's been on for 100 years officially this year. And the reason why it still continues is because when we're kids, our parents, our friends, our family watch the game, and we watch it, and we grow up with the mindset that I want to be this next NFL player. I'm inspired by the Brett Favres and the Aaron Rodgers and the Tom Brady's and the whoever. And you're like, I want to be a pro football player or pro sports player because it's instilled in our culture. And now that esports is becoming that, where you can get scholarships in high school and in college, that may change our scene for a lot of reasons. But because of that, you're always going to have these newer, younger talent that are developing at an earlier age that are going to be pretty much the next scrub killer every year.
Yep.
And the fact that that's happening and these guys, this handful of group is still there is crazy to me. Can you imagine, like, I mean, technically it is happening, but, Tom Brady is not the same player he once was, but that boy's still winning rings because Belichick's a god. And he's been playing for, over a decade. Yet all this new talent keeps coming in that's been gunning for him. Like, it's unreal. It really is.
They got the right formula. They found it out. So
yeah, it's called cheating. I hate the Patriots personally.
Deflategate.
Yeah. There's a whole slew of things. I can't stand the Pats, but that's a whole different thing. That
Yeah, that's just something you got to respect, though, man. Tom Brady
Oh,
is
yeah, of course.
absolutely insane. Just they're doing something right. So
clearly, boy's gonna run out of fingers soon for those rings.
yeah,
He's got what, like 6 now, something like that.
too many.
I agree. Are you a big sports fan? Like, do you watch anything professionally?
I mean, back in the day, I used to watch baseball. That kind of fell off. Never really was into basketball. Football, back in the day, yeah, I would definitely follow it all the way. I watch like your major matches and stuff like that. But nowadays, I'm more of like a MMA guy. Like, I watch like UFC and Bellator and all that stuff.
Did you watch the fight last week?
For the boxing fight.
There was a match between, I forget two. God, who was it? It was a good fight apparently. Because I used to be big on MMA too. I was back in I paid a lot of attention during like the Uriah Faber days and watching GSP smash kids, and then
Anderson Silva
came in and we're just like, who
Quinn.
is this monster? Even when Forrest Griffin won his fight, like unbelievable talent. I mean, you're talking Mirko Krokop. That boy's leg kicks that look like you're gonna snap the guy in half.
He's got tree trunks.
Dude, that guy is bigger than a tree trunk. Like, guy is nasty. But did you ever watch Pride Fighting then?
I never watched it from the beginning. I started watching around like 2007, 2008. So that's when Pride was pretty much done. I think Pride was done in 2004, 2005. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I know it.
I saw a few fights from back in the day. Yeah,
shit was brutal, man. So for those that have never watched mixed martial arts or MMA or the UFC, Obviously, stand up and takedown. It's full contact, full combat. You know, you're basically trying to get the other person to submit or knock them out. The crazy thing though is in pride fighting in Eastern culture, was that if the person is up, so if they're not like pretty much face down on the mat, you can still attack them. So like these guys are like on their knees and still getting leg kicks to the head.
Yeah.
Shit was brutal. And when some of these guys are,
There's
you
like
know,
no rules, man. It's crazy.
these guys are, 260 pure man, and you get, like I said, Crow Cop with one of those leg kicks. I don't know how the head stays attached to the neck at one point. Like, thing was lethal. But I mean, it's crazy how much the UFC's exploded. Which I forget who I was talking to the other day. I think it was my Uber driver. He's surprised that there isn't an esports scene for the UFC. Like, there just isn't.
For the game?
Yeah, like
I've never thought those games were good enough to compete in.
no, but like clearly there's got to be like there's got to be people.
I mean that's what they're doing for like FIFA and Madden and stuff like that. So
Right.
maybe down the line that becomes a thing. I don't know.
I mean, imagine Dana White comes in and he's like, okay, we got the UFC Pro League, and you.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to not see it. I mean, esports is pretty new and a lot of money in it, I feel.
I mean, what is it? It's projected 1.2 billion by 2020 or 2021 or something like that.
Something crazy. You got all the young
Imagine
kids
hearing
that's
that number as a
wanna
kid
do.
growing up.
Yeah, Jesus. It's actually crazy, man. Just thinking about it.
It's come a long way. I mean, I look at it in the sense of, so you're 26. I'm almost 28. I'll be 28 in a couple months here.
Dang, you old as hell.
Yeah, I'm old as shit. But the only thing to remember is Leaf, James, and Gibbs are all older than that. So
Yeah.
suck it, boys. But I mean, you look at, okay, so figure like 25 years ago. Think about where we were in like technology, right? Like how far phones have come and tablets and computers and like the tech that we're looking at. Look at, okay, so here, video games that released in 1989, just as an example.
I mean, it's crazy to think about in like a
Oh
time
my
period,
God.
but like
Oh.
growing up, it becomes second nature, so you don't really think about it too much.
So the 10 best games of 1989. We're gonna take a look at this. Hold on. Sorry, Chrome. River City Ransom, Batman the video game on the original NES, not even the Super Nintendo. Final Fantasy Legend. Oh my God. Final Fight. Super Mario Land Black and White. Oh my God.
I just think that whole era of like N64 to PlayStation to
Yeah. So
Xbox 360. and
the
PS2.
original Tetris came out in 1989. Think about that. The second best-selling game of all time came out in 1989. 25 years ago, roughly.
Jesus.
Okay. And then think about where we're headed in the next decade.
Yeah.
Like,
Technology's,
that's-
pretty crazy.
Who knows what's going to happen? And like there's a lot of things that change that, right? Like Moore's law isn't the same. Like the concept of every 2 years the size of a hard drive will half in size but double in storage space, and like stuff like that hasn't remained true for like 10 years now or some shit. So there's some things that are changing, but the fact that like the strength of our GPUs is going and all, I don't know, man. People want to talk about where we're headed. I don't know. But
Yeah.
it is that time.
Yeah.
Someone has to get to scrims and pretend like they're working.
Yeah.
It's
Someone
not me.
canceled on me, so that's why I was like looking away and stuff like that. So I had to get another scrim for the time being, and then go from there.
You guys got something on schedule though?
Yeah, I just got another
Awesome.
scrim.
Awesome. Chrome putting in work, you guys. It shows in the boys'
Yeah.
play. You guys got Dallas this weekend. What else is on the docket?
Yeah, RLCS Newark Season 7 Finals World Championships in June 21st to 23rd, I think. So we'll be out there. Don't think we're boot camping, so we do everything
Really?
online, and yeah, I think it fell through the plans that we had. So
You guys can boot
that's
camp at
coming
my
up.
place. No problem.
Let's go to Green Bay. Can't wait.
Hey man, it's super cheap. I bet you I can rent an entire convention center for the same price you would pay for boot camping in.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, true. And then I want to say 2 weeks after that, you have Valencia.
Mhm.
So that's gonna be fun. Never been to Spain.
That'd be sick. That will be sick. Well, shit, man. Before we kick it off, obviously, things we do a little bit differently here. Number one, your shout outs, anything that you want to give love to, whatever, floor is yours. And then after that, I'm going to play some music and you're going to spoil who who your nominee is here. For those that are just joining us for the first time, I don't pick the guests. The guests pick the guests. It's a little bit different. So Chrome was going to let you guys know who is the next on Rocket Talk. So floor is yours, man.
Yeah, I would like to thank, all my supporters in my stream and stuff like that. Anyone who still supports me.
You still going daily?
I may not know you, but, I love you. And I also want to thank Energy for, giving me the opportunity to coach these guys full time, and all our sponsors, as well as, my teammates, Garrett, Justin, and Fire, for really believing in me and trusting me to really, for my trusting my input and stuff like that. And, it's just how it is. It's fun. Love it.
It's good shit, man. Keep up the good work. Love seeing you guys be successful. I know you have a lot of people from the region hoping this is your guys' season, because
yeah, I hope it is too.
You've been so close, and what a story it would be that in the first season they bring in Coach Crom, you guys come in and take the trophy. How crazy would that be? But the only last questions I have for you: what are your top 3 for potentials for winning Dallas? Any dark horses? And then obviously New Jersey.
Dallas top 3, either Energy, Vitality, or Barcelona for winning Worlds. We're winning Worlds. Thank you very much.
All right. I love it. All right. That's going to do it for us, guys. I'm going to close out of this stuff. Chrome, hit these boys with our next guest. Who's it going to be?
Next guest is, I don't know his last name, but Jacob Jazzo.
What is Jazzo's last name? Do we know Jazzo's last name?
I think it starts with an S. I don't know. I want to find that out, actually.
Jazzo.
Yeah, I tried to get Justin and Fire to do it, but, they're very hard and very difficult to work on with interviews and stuff like that, talking about things. So
which is crazy, because I literally sat down with Fire for the MVP thing I did.
Yeah.
And our conversation went for 45 minutes on accident. It was literally just like, hey man, what do you want in this? Like, what kind of things do you want to make sure I touch on? Any things that you think are really important? And then 45 minutes later, I'm like, shit, I gotta go. And he's like, oh yeah. So I don't know why they're so afraid of it, because it's the same thing, man. We're just sitting and talking.
Justin and Fire, like they're better than me at interviews, and they're afraid to do it. I don't understand.
It's not even an interview, man. We're literally just talking shop.
Yeah, and they're not even like socially awkward, so I can't even understand it, to be honest. Maybe they still don't like being a camera. I don't know.
Damn kids. And that's fine. Like, if you don't give me a camera, I just rotate photos that you may or may not enjoy. Like, that's a pretty good looking photo when you played for EG, in front of the San Francisco Bridge.
That was a fun experience going to San Francisco. Yeah, never been there.
It's pretty sick, right? And then you get stuff like this, if I find it, which that photo in general is
stupid.
Yeah,
it's pretty fucking stupid.
It's something special. Either way, man. Chrome, always a pleasure. I'm gonna throw up the next guest. We got Jazzo coming in. When that'll be, chat, who knows? But obviously, if you guys haven't already, he's easy to find. You see it right there. Chrome RL on Twitter, right underneath the floating pictures. That's his name on Twitch. Go support him. You still streaming just about every day?
Yeah. The only days I didn't stream for like 2 days because my internet was pretty crap. But yeah, pretty much every day. And then I leave tomorrow for Dallas. I won't be streaming, obviously.
Yeah.
But if you have ever any questions, you can always ask me in my stream.
Do it up.
So yeah.
I know I will be there pestering you as well. So, guys, next time on Rocket Talk, whenever that'll be, stay tuned for it. All the socials are easy to find with a quick command. Follow there. That's the easiest way to find it. Also, this VOD will be on YouTube afterwards, so easy to find there. But keep your eyes peeled. It'll be somewhere posted on Twitter, usually last minute. When Jazzo and I discuss a time, probably sometime after Dallas. We'll figure it out. But Chrome, once again, appreciate you joining me. Thanks for taking the time. Good luck in scrims. Go do the coaching things. We'll see